So Alex Jones is in the middle of his defamation trial where he's already been found guilty of defamation. The jury is just determining how much money that he's going to have to pay to his victims. And it's resulted in some darkly entertaining moments until you remember what this guy did, which was he lied repeatedly over and over again, claiming that the Sandy Hook massacre, where children were killed, was a false flag, and he incited the terrorization of the parents who had already lost their children in a massacre to saying that they were actors. And that resulted in families having to move, like real tangible consequences outside of the horror of already losing your child. So like, this guy's a monster, and he's gonna have to pay a lot of money because the attorney for the Sandy Hook parents has pointed out that he makes like $700,000 a day, or at least InfoWars does on those.
$800, yeah, revenue.
Oh, 800, yeah.
That's what I saw, 800,000.
Woo, on those like BS supplements like Brain Force or whatever, you know, Alpha Brain. I can't remember which one is his, but he makes a lot of money, and he's been claiming and lying on the stand like, oh, I'm bankrupt, but he just applied for bankruptcy because it's a way to stave off, you know, potentially having to pay off more. No, he makes a lot of money. He makes a lot of money. And his attorney seemingly made a misstep, and that's putting it mildly, and apparently accidentally sent an entire digital copy of Alex Jones's phone to the Sandy Hook parents' attorney. And here is Alex Jones on the stand responding to that.
So you did get my text messages and said you didn't. Nice trick.
Yes, Mr. Jones.
Oh.
Indeed. You didn't give this text message to me. You don't know where this came from. Do you know where I got this?
No.
Mr. Jones, did you know that 12 days ago, your attorneys messed up and sent me an entire digital copy of your entire cell phone with every text message you've sent for the past 2 years, and when informed, did not take any steps to identify it as privileged or protect it in any way. And as of 2 days ago, it fell free and clear into my possession. And that is how I know you lied to me when you said you didn't have text messages about Sandy Hook. Did you know that?
I told you the truth. This is your Perry Mason moment. I gave them my phone, and
Mr. Jones, you need to answer the question.
No,
Did you know this happened?
No, I didn't know this happened. But I mean, I told you I gave them the phone over.
Just
And
answer the question.
You said in your deposition, you searched your phone. You said you pulled down the text, did the search function for Sandy Hook. That's what you said, Mr. Jones, correct?
And I had several different phones with this number, but I did, yeah. Well, of course. I mean, that's why you got it.
No, Mr. Jones, that's not why I have it.
My lawyer sent it to you, but I'm hiding it. Okay.
Mr. Jones?
Mr. Jones, yes.
Just answer questions. There's no question.
All right, pause
Mr.
it for a
Vincent
sec.
also.
Like, part of this is so fun because he's being talked to like a child, and this judge later kind of grandstanded a little, but also took him down and was like, you're lying. You've lied on the stand multiple times about your bankruptcy. But like, I really love the idea that secretly Alex Jones's lawyer is working with the Sandy Hook parents' lawyers. Like, oh, it's a deep state conspiracy. My lawyer, got co-opted by dark forces.
Your Perry Mason moment.
Like, here's the thing. Like, the Sandy Hook parents' lawyer had those texts for 10 days because according to Texas law, you need to give the other attorneys time to file for privilege. After accidentally sending those texts of Alex Jones's lawyers could have said and went through the process of making sure those couldn't be used. And so the Sandy Hook parents waited day 1, day 2. And here we are. This was the last day of the trial. They're now in jury deliberations now. And they were finally able to bring it up after waiting that 10-day period. what was going on? Why? How did Alex Jones's lawyers not do anything about it? There's even an email that's been released where one of Jones's lawyers sends an email to the Sandy Hook parents' representatives saying, disregard that last email. But that's not enough. They had to actually go through the legal process, and they didn't do that.
Yeah, this was pointed out for me, like when I saw this by Jordan Holmes from Knowledge Fight, who we will be having on the show next week, next Friday. Both guys from Knowledge Fight, but. That's the big thing about this too. Like, everyone's like, oh, it's such a gotcha moment. It's not only a gotcha moment. They literally had ample time for this to not happen. It's like seeing a banana peel like 5 blocks away and being like, I will wait until I get there and then I will slip on it.
It's like the scene with Austin Powers, who's driving the steamroller, and the guy's like, no! Like, he can get out of the way for, like 30 seconds or a whole minute, and he doesn't. Gets rolled over. That's what happened with Alex Jones.
So only ask questions.
Sure. Mr. Jones, in discovery, you were asked, do you have Sandy Hook text messages on your phone? And you said no, correct? You said that under oath, Mr. Jones, didn't you?
I mean, if I was mistaken, but you got the messages right there.
You know what perjury is, right? I just want to make sure you know before we go any further. You know what it is.
Yes, I do. I mean, I'm not a tech guy. I told you, I gave in my testimony the phone to the lawyers before or whatever, and so you got my phone, but we didn't give it to you.
No, Mr. Jones. One more time. And please remember, if you need to assert your Fifth Amendment, you can. I need to know that you can do that. But you testified.
He's confused about the Fifth Amendment. I thought the Constitution guy.
It would be absolute karma if Alex Jones went down due to the leaks of his personal communications. I mean, imagine that.
Well, did you see the news today that the January 6th committee is now interested in his phone records? Because now they're out there. They're like, CC me on that, please, for our September hearings.
I also saw that potentially his ex-wife is subpoenaing them as well, the one who he was divorcing a while ago. So, I mean, like, everyone's interested to get into those texts. He should have really kept them safe. His lawyer is, I will say, not to grant any credence to Alex Jones's theories, but his lawyer is bad enough it is making me wonder if there is a plot out to get him. Yeah. Because that's just like high-level mistakes.
Heroes sometimes become heroes by accident or on purpose. And either way, Alex Jones's lawyer is a hero, American hero.
I just want to, I don't want to be, I don't know how much I believe this, but I just want to flag this for posterity in case something does change about it. But Ugarles, Ugarles of Hostile Podcast, the Hostile Witness Podcast, All Lawyers Are Bad series, and formerly of Mike Dick, law podcaster, tweeted out, basically he's skeptical that it was an accident. He said, in my opinion, it wasn't an accident. It was done on purpose at the last minute for some weird strategic defensive reasons, including that a juror might think that this kind of doublespeak is compelling or to cushion the blow of any sanction for noncompliance. Then he continues, it seems rehearsed. Oh, nice trick to claim I didn't do it. See, this is how the devil operates. But it also seems desperate and silly. A massive document dump on the eve of a trial, and maybe the plaintiff gets red-faced and asks for a continuance to review the late disclosed materials, and the trial gets kicked for 6 months because the judge has no space on her calendar, for example. But I'm not saying that's the definite case, but maybe I'm just used to Alex Jones lying, but like when he looked like he was acting to me. And I again, I'm not certain about that, but I'm just a little bit, I also don't think this is going to go well for him. I think what you said about the Jan 6 committee requesting the text, I think that all seems pretty dire for Alex.
I think that if it was a purposeful leak, I mean, unless there really is nothing on that phone regarding January 6th, they wouldn't think ahead and say, oh, well, this could be damning in other ways, even if it works out for us here right now.
I'm not sure, but maybe you try because it's going to be damning. You try some sort of stunt like this around it, but again, it's speculation.
Just from a conspiracy standpoint, I would argue that you don't want to find yourself on the receiving end of is this person really just this dumb, or is it an accident when it comes down to like your trial, your own personal trial. But we'll see how it works out for him. My guess would be it won't, but we can see, especially after he went through the process of having a segment about the judge in jury on his own show last week. Seems like they might not be amenable to this idea of bad luck.
Yeah, and I also like have to say there's a number of free speech, bless you,
Thank you.
a number of free speech sort of like Substack, including a guy I never heard of, but apparently has 200,000 subs, but that are saying like this is, so many people are against free speech. It's like, you can't perjure yourself in court. Like that's not protected under free speech. If we're allowing like just powerful media people to get away with lies in court, I think that is a pretty horrible bastardization of the principle of free speech. Oh, it's Jordan Schachtel at dossiersubstack.com. I don't know who this guy is. Independent journalist from Florida. So I would say big time idiot with 2011 followers.
Well, I mean, I think that a lot of people now, this kind of goes back to the UATX. Sorry, that's a kind of hard acronym to remember for college. The UATX thing, where like, you know, what is attractive about this kind of punditry and what their real ideology is. I think a lot of those same people would see some kind of danger in Alex Jones being finally, you know, forced to pay restitution for not just perjuring himself multiple times in a court of law, but also for leading a harassment campaign against the families of, you know, the victims of mass shootings, because a lot of right-wing commentators and just like, you know, political pundits in the mainstream sphere make their, you know, money by just aimlessly musing about things that they have no idea about, that they haven't looked into, that have actual consequences for people on the ground. And that's just their bread and butter. And the idea that you might end up in court, or that they might be any consequences for just like sharing your ideas, because yeah, what if you weren't lying? What if you were just accidentally mistaken about Sandy Hook being a false flag? Then should that be a reason for people to take you to court just because there had consequences? Like, this like strikes at the heart of the problem with our modern pundit culture, and what they're so defensive about is that a lot of them don't know a lot of things, but they still want to talk about them, and they don't want there to be any kind of consequences, social or material, for, you know, being wrong about everything all the time.
Yeah, and I mean, like, he's on a different level, though. I mean, he is on a different,
That's why a lot of them have abandoned him. Like, a lot of the people have abandoned him, like just like the cops have a lot of pundits who would normally be on the free speech train have abandoned him, just like a lot of cops who would normally be defending other bad cops abandoned the Uvalde situation, because this is like a very extreme example of what that leads to, and how like we just can't have a lack of accountability when people have huge platforms and do none of the due diligence necessary to like make sure things that they say are like accurate, even if it's like just a simple accident.
Right. All right, guys. Well, the light just flickered in here, and I'm a little worried about the power with the air conditioner.
Because AC just turned on, yeah.
All right. But we had a good show if we cut out. Just letting you guys know, if that happens.
If there's a quick, abrupt end, it means that power went out in the studio and we probably won't come back.
If everything fades to black, it's metaphor. It's not nothing. Everything's okay.
Yeah.
No, it's not okay. I will say, first the deep state pedophiles came for Alex Jones, and like I said on Twitter, we did not defend him like we should have. And now the deep state pedophiles have come for us, and they will be shutting us down. And so I've been hosted by my own petard.